Hey guys, welcome back to a new episode. This week we're going to be continuing what we did last week where we were building out a website using Elementor. Last week we installed Elementor, kind of got it set up the headers and the footers. This week we're going to be kind of building our home page, which is going to be the basis for the rest of our website based off the design. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, now that we've added the header and the footer the way that we want it based on the design, let's switch over here and let's start adding the content for the home page. Some of it's going to be left blank because I'm going to create some custom post types that can handle it a little bit better, but I think for the most part we should be able to at least have the look of it start to come through. So let's get started on that by going back to our dashboard, opening up our pages, and editing our home page. So first thing, let's go ahead and just get rid of this entire section. And we're going to add a section here that's going to have an image. It's going to have a little parallax background on it. So let's go ahead and get started here. And we want it to be full for the background. And then we'll add some columns on the inside of it. So let's go do this. Make sure we're there. Let's go to Style. We're going to click on Classic, and let me grab the image that I'm currently using here. There, okay. Alright, so now I have the image. So I'm going to come here, and I need to upload it. So, where's that folder at? Here. Okay. I think this one is the one that I can use. And let's insert that. Okay, so now we need to give it some spacing and put in a title. So let's go over here. Let's insert a title first. And then right below that, we're going to insert, let's do another title for like a subtitle. Okay, so for the first one, we want to have both of them centered. And both of them are going to be using white text. So let's come over here and select white text for that one and white text for this one. So I want this one to say your legal needs addressed, all caps, so your legal needs addressed. And then let's see, we want to have the typography the same, but we want to make it a little bit bigger. So let's make it a little bit bigger just so it stands out. But right there is fine. Then this one, I want to change the typography to the text. And we're also going to make it all uppercase. And I'm just going to put in the sample way since this is a sample website. So the sample way. Now for this one, I want to have the text a little bit smaller. Not too much smaller though. Maybe about right there. Okay, so you can't really read the white on the light, the black and white background. So we're going to come over here to our style, and we're going to give this a gradient overlay. Let's go ahead and make this parallax. So we're going to center it. We're going to give it a scroll. Nope, let's give it a fixed. And we're going to make it not repeat and make it, let's say cover. There. Okay, so background overlay. Let's go to classic. We're just going to do a black background overlay. So black. I think that's good. Alright, so let's also give it some padding on the top and the bottom so it's not so bunched up together. Let's see, margin. No, we want to do padding. Yeah, let's do it here. Okay, so let's say we want to do 50 pixels. No, don't need all of them. Let's make them all 0, and we're just going to do 50 on the bottom, 50 on the top. I'm still thinking this is a little bit too light. So let's go back to our background color or background overlay. The transparency on it. well, I guess as dark as I can get it. Maybe it's because my image has it bigger. All right, well, let's add in the other sections, and then we can go from there. Okay, so we need to create 3 more columns below it. So we're going to drop in an intersection right below that, and let's go ahead and remove one of the columns, because what we're going to do is we're going to create the columns one by one, and then we're just going to duplicate them. And the way that we do that is, based on the design, it's going to be an icon box here. And then the icon box, it's going to have a background of white. So let's go over here and do this column style. And we're going to do background color white. I think that's all we need to do on that. So now we need to, we're not going to have text on it, so we can go ahead and get rid of the text. It's just going to be a header that goes here. So let's go ahead and type in sample text goes here and details your company. Okay, so I also want this to be stacked, so we're going to do a stacked so it has a little circle around it, and then we're going to come over here and we're going to resize the icon a little bit. Let's make it about that big, and the colors are fine for that. So let's go to the content, the text color, let's make it this text color here, so it's a little bit lighter so this stands out. So per the design, this icon here is actually floating above the box, and we're going to have to do that with CSS. So let's go ahead and take this and we're going to duplicate it 3 times. Actually, no, we're not. We haven't got there. Yeah, we are. So let's go ahead and duplicate it 3 times. And then let's change these icons just to represent different types of icons. So let's say this one's going to be a person. No, let's do user, and this one, and then let's do this one as a trophy. And you can put any kind of icons here that you want, but I'm just doing different ones that I think would represent what the law firm would be looking for. Content, and then this, nope, this is going to be users here. Okay. So another thing, we don't want the boxes to be touching each other, so we're going to add some spacing around each one of these boxes. It's, well, not spacing, but it's going to be spacing, but it's going to be about 10 pixels for this one. Should have did this before I duplicated them. That's the reason why I waited to duplicate them, so I wouldn't have to do it for all 3 of them. But it's a simple change, so 10, 10, and 10, so we have some spacing around it. And now we need to get these icons to go up, which we're actually going to do with CSS. So let's go ahead and update this. It's hard to do this whenever I'm going back and forth between an image and the code. So just bear with me just a moment. I got to figure that out, or else it's going to look weird throughout the rest of the site. So we got 1800 pixel width, 20 pixel width for. All right, well let's see this. So if we inspect this, let's see where it's hitting it at. So there's got to be something that's wrapping around this content that's causing it to be like that. What is this? So it's on the body. So if we do body padding 0, how about margin 0? Okay, so that works out a little bit better, but obviously this needs to be fixed and it needs to be pushed in a little bit. So I think we can start it with that and then figure out how to fix it. So let's go to our CSS. So let me switch screens so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to go to, nope, that's not it, styles here. So let's add in our first little bit of CSS in here, and we're just going to do body padding 0, margin 0. And now we open it back up. Let's do a hard refresh. Okay, well that actually made all the padding go away around the body, so I guess it just didn't update the way it should. But as you can see now, it's actually extending out where it needs to. So I guess the Elementor didn't take into account doing something in the browser, so that's why I was pushing it over to the left. But that's fixed now, so that's good. So now we need to code this style. So wait, you can't even see what I changed. Hold on. There we go. All right, so as you can see here, the padding around the top and the sides has went away, and it actually aligns it the way that we were expecting it to. And you can also see the background has a little parallax on it, so that's what we're looking for. So now I'm going to switch back over to Visual Studio, and we're going to add in some code for these sections, these little boxes that we want to move up. So let me switch back to the browser. So because the way that we're going to do this is we're going to have to grab whatever this element is, and then that's where we're going to make our modification. So we want to probably grab the Elementor icon box wrapper, and then in our code we'll make that we'll make it go all the way around. Okay, all right, so looking at my notes, that is what I did. So I'm going to do, let's see, this one, let me see what all they have in common. So it's column inner gap, and then the icon box. So maybe I think we can put these in a class. That'll probably make it a lot easier for us. So let's go ahead and grab this class, and I'm just going to quickly add that to the CSS just so I can keep track of it, and then I'll switch over and show you how we can add another class to where we want it to go. So let's go back to our home page, and inside of this, so let's get off of this one, and inside of this we're going to add a class to the wrapper for it. So let's do CSS class, and let's do hero, what we want to call it, hero, let's see, hero CTA. Okay, so let's update that, and now that should give us a class that wraps around these, and then we can call that. So I'm going to switch back over to Visual Studio, and inside of this we're going to do hero CTA, then we're going to put a space, and then this is where I want to add that code for the here, let me pretty this up a little bit. This is where I want to add the code that's going to move those Elementor box icons up off of the screen. Okay, so inside of that we need to do a position, I think position relative. So let's try that. Let's do position relative, and then I think maybe we can do top, and then let's do like minus 50 pixels, and I'm going to refresh that real quick to see what it looks like. Okay, so let me show you what I'm looking at, and you can see here that it actually brings up the icons to about where we want them at, maybe not as high. So let me go in here, and instead of doing -50, let's try -40 and do another refresh. Alright, so that's good, but I also think it's a little too close up here. So for our just the CTA itself, we're going to add another style for that. So we're going to do hero-CTA, and then we're going to do, let's say, margin-top, let's say 50 pixels. And now I'm going to refresh it. There we go. Alright, so that's probably a little bit too much space, so let's decrease that down to, let's say, 30 pixels, and then we can refresh. Okay, so now we have the text the way we want it, the parallax is working, it kind of looks like it does on the design. I think this text probably needs to be a little bit bigger, so let's go into here, and Let's change the content style a little bit more so that you do the typography, and I want to make it about right here. Alright, so let's do 30 pixels for each one of those. Actually, 30 pixels may be a little too big. It's 20, 25. 25 is good. I don't really like the orphan character at the end of it, but I mean, that's not going to be the text that they keep in there, so I think it'll be fine. So let's do 25, and then do it one more time here. Content, typography, 25. Wait, did I do that in the wrong place? Yes, I did. So let's get rid of that. That's in the description. We need it here in the title. So the typography, 25. Okay, now let's update that and see how it looks. Okay, alright, I think that looks a lot better. Alright, so the next part based on the design is a white background with some text on the right and an image on the left. This one should be pretty easy to do, so let's go ahead and add in a new section with 2 columns. We're going to make this column a little bit smaller, let's say about 38%. Then over here I'm just going to add in some dummy text. So let's just add in an intersection, and let's add in a header. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. I don't know why I just did an intersection. I need to do a text editor here. And let's go ahead and just paste in the text. So I'm just going to use lorem ipsum. So copy that. Why is it pasting? Copy, paste. Okay, there we go. And then I'm also going to give it a header right above it, and let me just copy, I don't know, let's do here. This should be long enough based on the design. Paste that in, and we also want to make sure that it's H2, but we want to have it a little bit bigger, so we're going to go over to our typography, and we're just going to make it a little bit bigger. Say about right there. Alright, so now let's add a period to the end of it. And then over here, we're going to just drop in an image. So I'm going to copy my image. I already have it there, that's good. So let's drop in an image here. I'm going to choose an image. Then I'm just going to upload an image that I found there. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to add a shortcode. So I'm going to go ahead and add a shortcode. Right now, it's not going to have anything in it because we don't have anything to produce behind it. But essentially, that shortcode is going to be services, or not services. What are we calling it? Practice areas. So let's do practice area there, and apply that. So right now it's not going to produce anything, but it'll be when we go to build out that custom post type, we'll have some content that we can put there. Okay, so that looks good so far. Part of the design, the next part, we have like a separator. So I think I can come in here and do divider. Here we go. So let's drop in a divider next. And we're going to make the divider, the color, let's do text, but make it a little bit lighter. So about right there, so it's barely visible is kind of the way we want to do with it. And then the next part is they wanted to have a like a testimonial that goes after that line. So we're going to add in another section, and over here we're going to drop in, see, a text editor, and I'm just going to copy out the text, just the lorem ipsum. They already have lorem ipsum in there, but yeah, we can use theirs. Okay, I just realized that it automatically adds lorem ipsum to it. Okay, so let's go here, style, we want it to be centered, we want it to have the primary text, the typography is going to be the primary, but we want this one to be large as well. So let's try to keep it concise and make it 30 like the other one was. But we also don't want it to be stretching from side to side. We want it to be centered. So let's come over here, and on the margin we're going to switch this over to percentage, unlink them, and we're going to do maybe like a 15% left and a 15% right to get it centered. And then we're going to do the next part is going to be where we add in the person's name that left the review. So we're going to add in another text area down here, and we're just going to put in first, last, dash company. Okay. Alright, so we also want to have this centered, and we don't have to modify the text on it, so that's fine. We can just keep that how it is. I just realized that we need to, up here, we need to have the quotes here. Okay. And then the next part we're going to do is we're going to do another separator like this one, and it's going to go below it, but it's going to have on the middle of it, we're going to have some words on it. So I'll show you how to do that in just a second. So let's go ahead and duplicate this one, and then we're going to drag it down below it, and then when we click on that divider, we can see here that there's a text element that we can add to it. So this is going to be where their practice areas are. So let's come over here, and we're going to type in, where's the content at? Divider, we're going to say practice areas, and then this text is going to be the primary color, and the typography is also going to be the primary typography, but we're going to make it 22, no, let's do 25 pixels, and okay. Alright, so since it's a separator area, we don't necessarily need to have the weight to be bold, but yeah, so let's not have it bold and make it bigger. So that way it differentiates between those two, because this one's 30 pixels as well, but we don't want it to be the same as this. And based on the design, the company that I did a website for that had a very similar website look to this, this was actually a quote, not from a testimonial from a user standpoint, but a quote from like a president, which is very popular on lawyer websites. So it might be something that you run into, but this is kind of what that is, because down below a little bit further we're actually going to have a testimonial slider. This is more or less just some text that they wanted to add in there. Okay, so now for the practice areas, we're going to build out the practice areas. They're going to be very similar to these, but it's going to be different colors. So what I want to do here is we're going to let's duplicate this for now and drag it down and put it underneath the practice areas. Alright, so we're still recording. Alright, so now what we're going to do here for the background of these, so I'm going to go ahead and delete the ones that we don't need. And so let's delete this one and delete that one. So the background on these are going to be darker colored with white text. So let's do background color, and I think that it may be secondary color will be good there. And then for the text, let's do the style. Nope, that's the icon. Let's go down to the content. Style for the text is going to be white color. And the title is going to be smaller, so let's say, we still want to use the primary, okay? And then for a description, I'm going to add in some lorem ipsum again. Goes here, and then we switch over to the style, the content, and this is also going to be white text, and it's going to be using the text format. Okay, so that's good. Now we need to take this, and we're going to duplicate it, and then we're going to create another row that looks just like this. But instead of actually creating this in real time, we're going to create it with a custom post type. So I'm going to leave this as it is right now, so that we can create it using a custom post type. But we need to have this on there right now, so that we know what is going to go there and what the classes are going to be that we need to modify. when we go to create the loop that pulls the custom post type. Alright, so I think on the icon, let me see, do some padding. I want to make them stand out a little bit more. So let's do 30, since that's not too much. 28 was good. So just want to do some padding around it to make it stand out a little bit more. And style here, padding. Okay, so now underneath this, we're going to have another section that looks like this. So I'm going to duplicate this. Nope. Duplicate it, the whole thing. I did not want to do that. So delete that. And here, this is going to be what our clients say. Okay, so now let's update this and see what we got so far. Okay, so that's beginning to look a lot like the design that we had, so that's good. And now we are going to add in a plugin to handle the testimonial slider, just because I don't want to code one from hand, and it's kind of best maybe don't reinvent the wheel if you don't have to. So let's see, let's go back to here and let's go ahead and get out of here. And this plugin that I'm fixing to list out, in no way that I own or endorse or whatever. It's just I've used this plugin before and it works pretty good for sliders. So you can use whichever one that you want, just as long as it gives you a shortcode that you can pull with. So the one that I'm looking for is called Strong Testimonials, I think. Yep, Strong Testimonials. So let's install that. And once it gets done installing, I'll show you how to set it up so that we can actually use it. Alright, so let's activate it. And first thing we want to do is go to our settings, and then on the settings you have different options that you can set up, you know, the administration, the output. So what we want to do is no, it's not in the settings. Views, that's what I'm looking for. Views. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a new view, and this is going to be called homepage. So homepage, because that's where it's going to be displayed at. It is a slideshow, and let's do random. It's going to view all of them, and we're going to show a single slide at a time. Start automatically, continuous scrolling, so it repeats after it gets done. We're going to uncheck stop and interaction because we don't really care about that. We just want them to see it. And then navigation, we're going to do slides, previous, next, with whatever, you know, their primary style for that. Pagination is going to be full. It's going to be buttons, and they're going to be inside of the testimonial frame. We don't want to display the title or the featured image because we're going to be using that to tell us how we're going to be doing it in the back end. And then the template that I think would probably most look like the design is the modern template. And then I think that's all the changes we need to make for the views. So now we have this shortcode that we can copy to the clipboard, and then I'm going to come over here and edit that with Elementor. And then inside of this next section, search for shortcode, drag it over, and then we're going to paste that. Okay, so currently there's no testimonials, and that's fine. So let's go and add a testimonial. So let's do add new testimonial. We're just going to title this one test person. That's why we didn't want to display the testimonial title or an image, because we're not going to have an image associated with it. You can if you want to, but we're not going to have it on ours. And then we're just going to add in some dummy text, and then the full name is going to be test person, and then the only other thing that we're displaying is the company name, which we can do test company. And then let's publish that, and if we refresh, after updating. And if we refresh this, that should give us the testimonials. There we go. So per the design, there is a there's like a parallax background, like a light colored background here. So if we go here and we're going to edit this, go to style, do our background, and I think I have an image for that as well. I think maybe this one would work. So insert that. I think that we're also going to need some padding on the top and the bottom of it. So let's go to advanced, and let me just look at the design to see how much padding it is. Alright, and then let's do percentage based, unlock the values, do 8 there, 8 there. Now on the style, it is going to be a parallax, so we're going to do position, center, center, size, cover, no repeat, with a fixed attachment. Okay, so we also need to have an overlay on this one like we did on the top, so we're going to do a color overlay of white this time. And let's update that now. Oh, okay, that's what I was looking for earlier. So let's update that and come all the way back up here and update this too, because I wanted to make it a little bit darker and I didn't see this. So 0.7, update that. Alright, so now if we go back to our home page and refresh, that should give us, it's a professional looking thing, and then we can change this to match the colors of our the rest of our blue elements, and then that's a little bit darker. So alright, so let me go ahead and inspect this so I can grab the color, which is the primary color. Then we're going to go back to our testimonial views, edit this, and I want to say on here there is a way to change the color, or maybe we should do that in the styles. So let's see what the class is for that. So let's see, and we got the before. Okay, so I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste that. And don't worry, I'll show you what I'm doing in just a second in the visual editor. But I gotta grab that the color code again here. Okay, so now I switch back to the visual editor, and basically what I just did, I just copied that class that was there, and then I believe it was background color. Let's check it out again. So we got our before and after. It's the color and the background. So we just want to overwrite the color and the background. So background equals what we copied, and then color also equals what we copied. So now, nope, that didn't change the color, so there has to be something else that's controlling that. Yeah, we're gonna have to do an important flag on it, because the plugin style sheet is being called after our style sheet. So important, and then important. Now let me do a refresh. There we go. Alright, so now let me switch back so you can view the browser again, and you can see that the blue is now where the quotes are, which is what we were looking for. Okay, so I think it's coming together pretty good based on the design. I think that's all we need to do for the home page right now. So just to recap, in this tutorial we basically built out the home page the way that we wanted it to look like in Elementor based off the design. Stay tuned for next week where we actually go into creating some custom post types and actually starting to work on the theme a little bit. So I'll show you how we take what we created on the home page today and we actually build it as part of the theme, so we can create repeatable items, create templates from it, and create these custom post types where we can build them straight from the administrator and it adheres to our design. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.